I'm 75 years old, and I'm about to tell you something I've never told anyone. Not my wife, not my kids, not the men I served with. I've carried it for 53 years, and it's time. What I'm going to say might make you uncomfortable. It might make you angry. It might make you look at your father or your grandfather differently. Good. That's the point. Because the lie I believed, the lie that shaped my entire life, that broke my marriage, that kept me from my own children, is the same lie being sold to young men right now, today, this minute. And I'll be damned if I'm going to die without saying something about it. Let me take you back to 1969. I was 21 years old, standing on the tarmac at Tan Son Nhut Air Base, and the heat hit me like walking into a wall. 104 degrees. Humidity so thick you could chew it. I was 6'1", 175 pounds of pure American confidence. Star quarterback at Jefferson High in Beaumont, Texas. My daddy was a Korean War vet. His daddy fought in the Pacific. I was the third generation of Mitchell men to answer the call, and I was proud of it. Proud. That word tastes different to me now. See, I knew exactly who I was supposed to be. I'd been trained my whole life. A man provides, a man protects, a man doesn't complain, a man doesn't show weakness, a man sure as hell doesn't cry. My father told me the night before I shipped out. He put his hand on my shoulder, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, "Bobby, you're going to see things over there. Things that'll stay with you. You keep it inside. You hear me? You keep it inside and you keep moving. That's what men do." I nodded. I thought I understood. I didn't understand a damn thing. 11 months. That's how long I was in country. 334 days in the Central Highlands with the 4th Infantry Division. I'm not going to tell you war stories. That's not what this is about. But I need to tell you about one night, March 14th, 1970. A Saturday. We were running patrol near a village called Plei Mrong. 6 of us. I was point man, which means I walked first into whatever was waiting. We took fire from a tree line, small arms. We hit the dirt, returned fire, standard stuff. Then everything went quiet. Too quiet. When we advanced, we found a boy. Couldn't have been more than 15. He had an AK-47 that was almost as big as he was, and he was wounded, gut shot, still alive. He looked at me. Right at me. His eyes were so young, so scared, and then he reached for his weapon. I did what I was trained to do. Here's what they don't tell you about taking a life. It's not the moment itself. In the moment, you're operating on training and adrenaline. Your body does what it was taught to do. It's after. It's 3 a.m, 6,000 miles away, 40 years later, and you can still see those eyes. You can still hear the sound he made. You can still feel the weight of the rifle in your hands. And you can't talk about it, not because it's classified, not because you signed something, because you're a man, and men don't talk about the things that break them. That's what I believed. For 40 years I believed that keeping it inside made me strong, that silence was dignity, that the nightmares were the price of being a real man. I was wrong. The silence didn't make me strong. It made me a ghost in my own life. Let me tell you what being a real man cost me. I came home in November of 1970, flew into San Francisco, got spit on by a protester, that part's true, it happened, and took a Greyhound bus back to Beaumont. My mama cried when she saw me. My daddy shook my hand and said, "Welcome home, son." Nobody asked what happened over there, and I didn't volunteer. I married my high school sweetheart, Linda, in the spring of '71. Beautiful girl. Patience of a saint. Loved me more than I deserved. We had 3 kids in 5 years. Bobby Jr., then Sarah, then Michael. And here's the thing. I was there for all of it. Every birthday party, every little league game, every school play. I was physically present for my children's entire childhood, but I wasn't really there because real men don't engage with emotions. Real men don't get down on the floor and play. Real men don't say, "I love you," unless someone's dying. Real men maintain control. So I provided, I protected. I worked 50, 60 hours a week at the refinery. I put food on the table and a roof over their heads, and I thought that was enough. It wasn't. My son Bobby Jr. is 52 years old now. Last year, he told me something that cut me deeper than anything I experienced in Vietnam. He said, "Dad, I spent my whole childhood trying to figure out what I did wrong. Why you never seemed happy to see me. Why you never hugged me. Why you always seemed like you were somewhere else." He was 8 years old, and he thought it was his fault. 8. And the truth is, I was somewhere else. I was in a jungle 6,000 miles away, looking at a dying boy who was the same age my son would be someday. And I couldn't let myself feel it, because if I felt that, I'd have to feel everything else. So I felt nothing. For 40 years, I felt nothing. Here's the lie, and I need you to hear this. The lie is that emotions are weakness, that vulnerability is failure, that asking for help means you're not man enough to handle it yourself. The lie is that stuffing everything down and being strong is the answer. It's not strength, it's cowardice. It takes no courage to build a wall. Any fool can do that. It takes real courage to let someone see what's behind it. I know this because I spent 4 decades hiding behind mine. And when it finally came down, I realized I'd wasted my entire life protecting myself from the very things that could have saved me. The wall came down on April the 3rd, 2012. I remember the date because it's the day my grandson was born. Thomas Robert Mitchell, 7 pounds, 4 ounces. I drove to the hospital 2 hours from our place, and I walked into that room and my son Bobby put that baby in my arms. And something broke. I don't know how else to describe it. Something that had been locked up tight for 42 years just shattered. I looked at this tiny person, this brand new life, and I thought about the boy in that village, about all the boys, about the one I used to be, and I started crying. Not polite tears, not dignified moisture in the eyes. I'm talking about the kind of crying where you can't breathe, where sounds come out of you that you didn't know you could make. I cried for 20 minutes in that hospital room. My son didn't know what to do. He'd never seen me cry. Not once in his entire life. Not at my mother's funeral. Not at his wedding. Not ever. He just stood there, terrified, while his old man fell apart holding his newborn son. And then he did something I'll never forget. He put his arms around me, this grown man, this father himself, and he held me while I sobbed. That was the first time I'd been held by anyone since 1969. I started therapy 2 weeks later, 72 years old, and I finally talked to someone about what happened in Vietnam, about the boy, about the others, about what I did and what I saw and what I couldn't stop. The therapist, young woman, couldn't have been older than 35. She asked me why I waited so long. I told her the truth. I thought real men handled their own problems. She looked at me with this expression I'll never forget. Not pity, something else. Sadness, maybe. Recognition. She said, "Robert, you've been handling this alone for over 40 years. How's that working out?" 40 years of nightmares, 3 marriages. Oh, I didn't mention that Linda and I divorced in '89, did I? Then Susan, then Catherine. Both of them left because they said the same thing. You won't let me in. 40 years of drinking too much, of pushing people away, of being present but absent, of watching my children grow up and never really knowing them. How's it working out? Not well. Not well at all. I want to talk to the young men now. I know you're watching this. Maybe your girlfriend sent it to you. Maybe the algorithm put it in your feed. Maybe you're just killing time. I don't care how you got here. You're here. Listen to me. The world is going to tell you what a man is supposed to be. Some of it's old school, like what I grew up with. Don't cry. Don't ask for help. Provide and protect and keep your mouth shut. Some of it's new garbage. Don't feel anything. Treat women like objects. Measure yourself by money and status and how many people you can dominate. It's all the same lie with different packaging. A real man is not someone who can take a punch without flinching. A real man is someone who can take his own pain seriously enough to deal with it. A real man is not someone who doesn't need anyone. A real man is someone brave enough to admit that he does. A real man is not someone who never cries. A real man is someone who understands that tears are not weakness. They're the body's way of releasing what the mind can't hold anymore. I was trained to be the first kind of man. I was that man for 50 years, and it nearly killed me. It definitely killed my relationships. It definitely robbed my children of a father who could actually show up for them. Don't be me. I wrote a letter to my grandson Thomas. He's 12 now, smart kid, sensitive like his father, gets picked on sometimes because he's not tough enough. I want to read you part of it. I want every young man to hear this. Dear Thomas, I'm 75 years old, and I'm writing this because there are things I wish someone had told me when I was your age, things that would have saved me decades of pain. First, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be unsure. It's okay to not have everything figured out. Anyone who tells you that real men don't feel fear is either lying or has never faced anything truly frightening. Second, find someone to talk to, a friend, a counselor, a family member, anyone you trust. The things you hold inside don't go away. They grow. They get heavier. They become walls between you and everyone you love. Talk while the walls are small. Third, crying is not weakness. I didn't cry for 40 years after I came home from war. I thought it made me strong. It didn't. It made me a stranger to my own children. It made me unreachable to the women who loved me. It made me a ghost. Your tears are proof that you're human. Never be ashamed of that. Fourth, you are allowed to need help. You are allowed to struggle. You are allowed to not be okay. This does not make you less of a man. It makes you honest. And honesty is the foundation of everything good. Fifth, and most important, love is not a word you say when someone's dying. Love is something you show every day in small ways to the people who matter. Say, I love you to your parents. Say it to your friends. Say it to yourself when you need to hear it. I went decades without saying those words. Those decades are gone, and I can't get them back. Don't make my mistake. I'm proud of you, Thomas, not because of what you achieve, but because of who you are. The world needs more men who can feel, who can connect, who can cry. Be that man. Love, Grandpa Robert. I read that letter to him on his 12th birthday, in front of his whole family. My voice shook the entire time. Afterward, he hugged me. This 12-year-old boy, arms around my waist, face pressed into my chest. He said, "I love you, Grandpa." And I said it back. Words I could never say to my own children when they were his age. Words I couldn't say to my father. Words that got trapped behind a wall I built to protect myself from feeling anything at all. 3 words, 2 seconds to say, a lifetime to learn. I'm 75 years old. I've got maybe 10 years left, maybe 5. Maybe I walk outside tomorrow and a truck runs me over. You don't know. Nobody knows. But I know this, the last 3 years, since I started talking, since I started feeling, since I finally let the wall come down, have been the best years of my life. Not the most successful, not the most impressive, the best, because I'm finally here, present, alive in my own body, connected to the people I love. I held my wife's hand yesterday and actually felt it, felt the warmth of her skin, felt what it meant. I didn't have to imagine what a normal person would feel and try to perform it. I just felt it. You have no idea what a miracle that is. After 50 years of numbness, 50 years of going through the motions, to actually feel something, I wasted so much time. So here's what I want you to do. If you're holding something, put it down. I don't care if it's been 20 years or 50. Put it down. Tell someone. Get help. It's not too late. If a 72-year-old Vietnam vet who hadn't cried since Nixon was president can do it, you can do it. If you have a son, hug him. Tell him you love him. Let him see you be vulnerable. You're not teaching him weakness. You're teaching him that it's safe to be human. That's the greatest gift you can give him. If you have a father, reach out. Even if he's like I was, even if he's a wall, keep reaching. Some walls take decades to come down, but they can come down. Mine did. If you're young, don't wait. Don't wait until you've destroyed 3 marriages. Don't wait until your son is 50 years old and telling you he spent his childhood thinking he wasn't good enough. Don't wait until you're 75 and realizing you barely remember your children's lives because you weren't really there for any of it. Start now. Start today. The boy in that village, I learned his name, 3 years ago. A documentary filmmaker tracked down records. His name was Nguyen Van Thai. He was 14 years old. He had a mother and 2 sisters. I wrote a letter to his family. I don't know if they ever got it. I don't know if they'd want to hear from me if they did. But I said I was sorry. I said I think about him every day. I said I wished things had been different. The war, the world, the moment, all of it. I don't expect forgiveness. I'm not sure I deserve it. But I couldn't keep that inside anymore. I couldn't carry it alone anymore. Some weights are too heavy for one man. You're supposed to share the load. That's what I finally learned. 53 years too late, but I learned it. I'm Robert Allen Mitchell, 75 years old. Vietnam veteran, failed husband, 3 times, absent father, distant grandfather for too many years. Also, survivor. Work in progress. Man who finally learned how to cry. If you got something from this, share it with a man who needs to hear it. Comment below. Tell me your story or your father's story. If you haven't subscribed, do that. But more importantly, go do the thing. Make the call, write the letter, say the words. The clock is ticking. It always has been. Don't waste any more time.